Do you ever feel like you get bored with people way too fast? You meet someone new, things seem interesting for a little while, and then, poof, the spark is gone. You start feeling restless, uninterested, and maybe even a little guilty about it. You might wonder, is something wrong with me? Am I arrogant? Do I lack empathy? Well, what if I told you the problem probably isn't you? And it's not them either. Psychology suggests that getting bored in relationships quickly is rarely about having a difficult personality. More often, it is a powerful signal that your mind is operating on a completely different level of relational processing. It says far more about your unique psychological makeup than it does about the quality of the people you meet. So let's dive into the 7 deep reasons why you might be getting bored with people so quickly and what it truly reveals about you. The first and most fundamental reason is a high threshold for cognitive stimulation. If you get bored easily, your brain simply craves more than the standard social exchange. Small talk about the weather, predictable stories you've heard a dozen times, or repetitive opinions just don't provide enough novelty or cognitive challenge to keep you engaged. Think of it this way. Your brain's dopamine system, which is responsible for reward and motivation, responds more weakly to the kinds of social patterns that are perfectly satisfying for most people. This isn't a sign that you're not interested in the other person. It's about your mind becoming saturated with a particular stimulus very quickly. When a conversation lacks depth, a fresh perspective, or a sense of genuine authenticity, your mind starts to check out. It's not looking for entertainment. It's looking for substance. Without it, your attention naturally withdraws. The second reason is what we can call social hyper-awareness. People who get bored fast often see social patterns much more quickly than others. After just a few conversations, you might find you can accurately predict what someone is going to say next, how they'll react to a certain topic, what their core thinking patterns are, and where the boundaries of their flexibility lie. Once you've mapped them out, the relationship stops, feeling like a journey of discovery, and starts feeling like watching a rerun of a show you already know by heart. Psychologically, this is often a trait of people with a high capacity for what chefs called mentalization, the ability to understand the mental states of others. But this superpower has a downside. The mystery and novelty that fuel early connections can disappear much faster for you than for most people. The puzzle is solved, and your mind is ready to move on to the next one. This leads us to the third reason, a very low tolerance for emotional inauthenticity. Let's be honest, a lot of social interaction is built on roles, masks, and learned scripts. We play the part of the polite colleague, the agreeable acquaintance, the supportive friend. For many, this is a normal and even necessary part of getting along in society. But for you, it might feel utterly exhausting. If you get bored quickly, it could be your nervous system reacting to a disconnect between what someone is saying and what you sense they are actually feeling. The conversation might be pleasant, polite, even intellectually stimulating on the surface. But if you perceive it as internally empty or disingenuous, it just won't hold your attention. In this sense, boredom is actually a defensive response. Your mind is withdrawing its precious energy and attention from a connection that doesn't offer real, authentic contact. It's a form of self-protection against emotional emptiness. The fourth reason goes much deeper, often back to your early life experiences. It is the need to have been able to read people very quickly as a child. If you grew up in an environment where you had to constantly gauge the emotions of the adults around you, predict their reactions to avoid conflict, or adapt to a volatile emotional climate, you likely developed a highly accelerated relational radar. This skill was a survival mechanism. Now, as an adult, that radar is still switched on and operating at full power. You read people incredibly fast, sometimes too fast for your own good. You pick up on the subtleties, the hidden meanings, and the emotional undercurrents that others miss. But once you've scanned and processed all the available data and there's nothing new to discover, boredom sets in. This doesn't mean other people are shallow. It means your brain learned a long time ago how to shorten the cognitive distance between you and another person as a matter of necessity. Fifth on our list is an internal need for emotional intensity. People who get bored quickly in relationships are often not looking for simple entertainment or distraction. They're searching for resonance. They crave conversations and connections that move something inside them, that challenge their perspectives, that reveal a hidden truth about themselves or the other person. When relationships remain in the safe, neutral, polite zone, they fail to activate this deep need for emotional engagement. The connection feels flat. Boredom in this context is a clear signal that a crucial emotional coupling is missing. Psychologically, this is a common trait of people who process their emotions very deeply. They feel everything with more intensity. The risk, however, is that this can lead to a state of chronic relational dissatisfaction, always searching for a level of intensity that is difficult to find and sustain. The sixth reason is something incredibly powerful: strong internal autonomy. If you don't fundamentally need other people to regulate your emotions, to validate your sense of self-worth, or to simply fill the silence, then relationships shift from being a necessity to being a choice. And when something is a choice, you naturally become more selective. People who are emotionally self-sufficient are quicker to lose interest in connections that do and add genuine quality to their lives. Why? Because the relationship isn't serving a compensatory function. It's not patching a hole or fulfilling a deep-seated need for validation. In this case, boredom isn't a reflection of your lack of empathy or care for the other person. It's a reflection of your lack of neediness. You're choosing to invest your time and energy, and you want that investment to yield a meaningful return in the form of growth, joy, or genuine connection. And finally, the seventh reason, which is often overlooked, is fatigue from excessive adaptation. Think about it. If you've spent years of your life having to constantly adapt to other people emotionally, cognitively, socially, your nervous system can reach a point of burnout. At this stage, boredom can emerge as a form of self-protection. Instead of making the effort for yet another adjustment, another attempt to tune in to someone else's frequency, your mind simply withdraws. It's a quiet rebellion. This type of boredom isn't about a lack of curiosity about others. It's about a profound lack of energy to be the one who is always doing the relational work, bridging the gaps, and contorting yourself to fit into someone else's world. It's a mask for deep relational exhaustion. So what's the most important takeaway from all of this? If you get bored with people quickly, it almost never means you're incapable of deep relationships. In fact, it often means the exact opposite. Your capacity for depth, your need for authenticity, and your sharp awareness are so strong that they make superficiality feel genuinely unbearable. The real challenge arises when this pattern of boredom starts to isolate you, when your high selectivity inadvertently turns into a loneliness that you didn't consciously choose. Understanding these deeper reasons isn't about finding an excuse, but about finding self-compassion and a new strategy. It's about learning to seek out the rare connections that can meet your need for depth and stimulation, rather than judging yourself for not being satisfied with the rest.